Hello, everybody. This is Johns Hopkins with Baltimore Heritage, and I am here on a rather windy day at the A. Hone & Company Lithograph Building with one of our 5-Minute Histories videos. And today we're going to talk about the Hone Company Lithograph folks, as well as the recent work that went into restoring the building and why it won one of Baltimore Heritage's 2020 Historic Preservation Awards. But I have to start by saying thank you again to all of you who have contributed and are considering contributing. We just launched our annual membership drive, and I wanted to share that the vast majority of our operating support for our two staff, myself and my colleague Molly, who makes these videos happen, the vast majority of our operating support each year comes from people like you, the $35 memberships and the $50 memberships. That is literally what keeps us going. So I wanted to say thank you again for all of you who are going to get a letter in the mail or an email in your inbox for taking the time to consider it. Thanks. All right, let's jump into Hone here. The buildings that I'm in the middle of the complex, and these buildings date to 1885, but we have to start our story earlier. We have to start it in 1835, and that's when a gentleman named Edward Weber and his nephew August Hone come over from their hometown in Koblenz, Germany. They come to Baltimore, and they're packing with them all of the equipment needed to set up a lithography shop. Excuse me. You can hear in front of me, we are also by the train tracks, which was good for a lithography company, maybe not so good for a filming company here. But they come over with they're coming from the old world, but they are not bringing old world technology. They are bringing very much the latest and greatest technology. And let me sure I get the name right. It's the Senefelder process for lithography. The old way was you had an artist who drew out whatever you were going to print, and then somebody had to etch it onto a smooth surface, a stone. This new system, however, did away with the etching, so the artist could draw directly on the stone, and then you could apply ink and print from there. And that opened up whole new worlds of opportunities, especially in the level of detail that you could get. And pretty soon, although A. Hone & Company was printing out labels for cans and for tobacco products, some of its cigar box labels are exquisite, it soon became known as the go-to place for scientific printing and for map making for cartographers. In fact, some of the maps that resolved state boundary disputes came from Hone. Even countries like Venezuela used Hone lithographic maps to establish their boundaries. And even the United States and Canada used a Hone lithographic map to decide our boundary, our northern boundary, and Canada's southern boundary. Weber dies in 1850, and August takes over, hence the name today, A. Hone & Company, and he continues to innovate. And one of the things he does is that before him, one of the things he patents is before his time, each little part of the lithograph was either had ink on it or it didn't. It was kind of black or white or red or not red. What he does is he patents a way that you can get different shades in each of those tiny little squares. I guess my kids would call them pixels. Maybe the pixels, how fine a resolution I'm coming through right now on your phone or laptop. But back in his day, this idea of being able to have varying shades inside each of those little pixel squares set up a whole nother world for lithography. And in fact, if you want to see a great example of that, the U.S. Geologic Survey maps, he invented the different shades for topography that are still used today, all 150 or so years later. So really neat. Over the years, they do a lot of really inventive and neat things. Let me just read a few of these. Sometimes their work was groundbreaking. The National Geography Society, Nat Geo for you under 30, its first bound atlas was printed by Hone Lithograph. Sometimes the work was incredibly detailed. The American Geological Society printed what they called the millionth map of South America, where the ratio was 1 to 1,000,000. Talk about fine map making. Sometimes it took a while. The Atlas of Historical Geography of the United States, printed for the Carnegie Institute, took 20 years here here at Hone. And sometimes it was a little bit wacky. Hone printed the first Dr. Seuss books, and sometimes it was sporty. They printed the baseball cards, Topps baseball cards that some of us traded as kids. And finally, it was sometimes just about the money. The Hone factory in Richmond, Virginia, printed currency for the Confederacy during the Civil War. So Hone has a long run. They last until 1981, when unfortunately they went bankrupt. And this building here, this set of buildings here, sat vacant for almost 30 years. The buildings did not start out as Hone buildings. They started out for the Baxter Motor Company. They made motors for streetcars. And then Bagby Furniture, those of you who know the Bagby building in Harbor East, it started out its life here and then moved downtown. But by 1902, Hone had moved in, and they moved all their lithographic stuff with them. They also moved a 2-ton stone slab that has the motto, "The Stone Speaks," on it. They moved that from their older building downtown to here as a way to remind everybody what was going on. But it sat vacant this complex sat vacant for 30 years until just a few years ago, when a group called Cross Street Partners and their partners redeveloped it, a $27 million redevelopment project. And this former industrial complex is now home to a number of wonderful organizations that are working to make Baltimore's communities even better places. They restored the wood flooring and the wood joists. They restored the interior wood windows. The exterior ones had been long gone after 30 years of vacancy. And the new building, the newly restored building, is a magnificent blend of the old and the new. I'm going to read off a few of the project partners. There are so many that I'm afraid I can't read all of them, but the project leaders were Cross Street Partners, City Life Historic Properties, and Ziegler Sneed Architects. The project this big took a ton of people, and we're going to put a link to a website where they're all listed below here. So I want to say thank you to all of those folks who helped bring new life back to this place. If you know any of them, say thank you, and come on out and check out this 150-year-old complex that has brand new life again. Thanks so much, and we'll see you soon.